what's happening?
It's cloudy, it's rainy, it's cold. It's fall, winter. It's gross.
Yeah, it is, but I've been trying to not look at that factor.
Oh, sorry. It's actually sunny outside.
No, it's sunny inside.
It is. It's if you have the lights on, it is always sunny inside. It's always sunny in Philadelphia too.
Yeah. No, I'm just the other night I went to an art talk discussion.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was Monday.
Talk discussion.
Well, I'm it's a group called Nashville Creative Group, and it was what they do is a bunch of there's like 6,000 people in there, but maybe like 50 showed up, and then they had what they have is once every few months they have what they call a show and tell or share and tell or show and tell or something like that, where people get up there and like for a couple minutes maybe and just talk about what they're working on. And this guy, like the first guy got up there and he's kind of an older guy. He had a handlebar mustache deal and he had like a kind of like a half top hat type deal on and this like black suit and the circle glasses and everything. And he got up there and I'm like, damn, this dude is like he's got a good look going on. And so he starts talking and his story was about, he said 7 years ago I had a stroke. And he was a chef at the time, like kind of a, I don't know where, but he was a quote unquote,
like a big time chef.
He might have been big time, like Nashville chef or something.
Yeah. Still. I mean, being a chef in general is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, he called himself a chef, so he wasn't a cook, so I don't know what the difference between a chef and a cook is. But anyway, so he said he couldn't remember anything like how to cook or anything like that. And so part of his therapy was to write, just to journal and type and get your dexterities back with your fingers and connect the thoughts with your output and all that sort of stuff. And he started writing, and about 4 or 5 years into that process, he ended up writing a book, like some kind of murder mystery type thing. And he had just finished it. Well, actually, he may have just finished it, and so it may have taken him 7 years or something. But he got to the point where he was releasing his book, and he showed it, and it's been out maybe a month or something like that. But he's talked to a publisher. He just landed a 7-book deal.
Wow.
I mean,
7-book deal?
Yeah. He had the book with him, and I'm probably going to check it out. But I just thought, so I talked to him a little bit afterwards, and he's like, dude, he's like, I would write a chapter, and then I couldn't remember anything I wrote, like the next time I sat down. So I had to go back and reread the whole thing and focus on that and like kind of go from there type deal. So, I mean, it's just been I just thought that was pretty inspiring. And I've got like that. So it's like I've been sort of in this inspired place, but it's not connecting with action, which is something I thought I would kind of bring up as a topic today.
Huh. That's an interesting. That's an interesting one. Can you be in? And damn it, I don't know if I have the answer.
Well, yeah, I mean, like
Can you truly be inspired? Well, I guess have you been inspired? Have you been moved? Is inspire maybe action or is it motivation? I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, well, there's I think it was about 15 people shared. I just sort of just popped in. I didn't really know what was going on, so I didn't really have anything to share. I was going to talk about the Crushing Iron group, but I didn't know if that fit into the artistic domain necessarily, but of course it does.
Yeah, sure, of course it does.
But I didn't get on the list, but I just kind of sat there and it's sort of like, being inspired, I guess. And I got home and I picked out like 2 books that I've been thinking about getting back into and set them by my bed and started reading one of them, and it just wasn't there. It's like, then I'm like, is it the book or is it the action? It's like, what do I keep going deeper into the learning or the
what are you looking for?
It's premature, sort of like I need to get this totally dialed in before I take action, and that is just like a wrong place to be, right?
Well, it's like I don't know if it's a wrong place to be. I think you're just kind of, in general, just kind of being hard on yourself.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But you also, I think at the core, and I think maybe this is kind of where you're at. Like, and I deal with this with athletes all the time. It's like, listen, I don't want to change who you are. Like, every athlete that work with has innate personality traits that I don't want to change, nor can I. Because if I can, it'll be forced, like blunt forced change that may take for a little bit, but after time, it's going to be like an epic revolt. Like, I know you've had this as long as I've known you. You've had this inner torture of, God, but I wish I could be a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
And you've gone on these spells where you've tried, but like at the same time, it's like, are you trying to be someone? Not someone, but you get what I'm saying. Like, that's just not who you are. Like, if you and I had to switch places for 2 weeks, we'd both crumble and die. As far as like when we wake up and go to bed, I would like fall asleep and be so cranky and miserable. You would lay there in bed for 5 hours not being able to sleep, and you'd be stressed out and pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's like, how can I use my strengths and who I am at the best of its ability without necessarily changing certain aspects of me? Just because that's just who I am. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think a lot of times I'm paralyzed by too many choices or or lack of focus or whatever it may be. And it's regarding the going to bed thing. Yeah, it's like, I don't know how that, you might be right on that. I can't seem to crack it, and it's been about 50 years of attempts. It's like, at what point will I just accept it?
Yeah, if somebody's going to hire you on your resume, it wouldn't be that you promised them you were going to start waking up early. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, that would be yeah. So anyway, that's but when you're talking about, like, I kind of feel like this always applies to training and things of that nature. When we talk about like kind of wanting to be everything all at once, and there's no patience there, and that's kind of where I get with this sort of inspiration mode. It's sort of like I start looking around at, and this is why I've been getting rid of books that I have been building up in my library. I've been taking them to the used bookstore and just selling them for pennies on the dollar. But
hope you're not selling mine that you haven't read yet.
No, okay. That one's still there. But you saw, that's one thing that happens is I start getting inspired, and I'll come home from that thing the other night, and I'll just start like, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to do. I got to learn that. I got to learn that. And I got to learn that. And then all of a sudden I got 8 books next to me, and I'm like, not learning anything again. But that's what I mean about action. It's like you have been telling me that, like this fall I should be thinking about running. So that's what I've been kind of doing. I've been just trying to run a little bit here and there. I got my trainer finally set up again, and I'm not stressing it, but I'm just sort of putting it on the block and making something happen. And you posted something similar about that just today, I think, in the group, regarding little gains and things like that, and how important it may be.
Yeah, well, it's I think we say it all the time, just with different words, but I still think you have to have some type of, you have to have at least a direction, and what you're talking about sounds a little bit like distraction, like effort, and like and I cover this. It's I don't want to say it's misplaced effort, but in triathlon and sports and business and life, it's like there are only so many things you can do well and do really, really well at them. Like, I've known so many people in my life. I've worked for a few that have, like, they are the kings of having 50 things halfway done and nothing ever finished.
Mm-hmm.
They always had something, always had a great idea. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what about this? And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, and so you never finish. And I was actually it's swimming makes me think of this a lot, is you put so much effort into doing so many wrong things that you impede the progress if you would just slow down. So, you know, our at least today, like in the society we live in, it's always to speed things up. It's always to go faster. It's always to go harder. And I was doing the swim announcer, and I was like, "You're doing all this work east and west, and just a little bit north. So you're doing work, and it feels hard, and it feels fast, but the result is barely nowhere. You know, but if you could just slow it down and concentrate on just doing this, to only go north or south, then you're going to use less effort and go farther." And I think that is this time of year. And I think it's sometimes we don't need more. Sometimes we just need to do the same thing over and over and over again to get consistent. It doesn't always have to be, you know, I got to do like a new HIIT workout, or I got to join this gym, or I've got to start doing this indoor cycling thing. Like, listen, the same thing that worked for you during the season is the same thing that'll work for you in the off season, quote unquote.
Right.
You know, like, it doesn't just change. Like, it's not the off season, because you know what? I've got athletes that are over in Australia. They're getting ready to race next weekend. You know, it's a total myth. Because there isn't a triathlon for you to do, then you just say, well, it's just off season. And I can just wait. You know, and then again, we talked about this. Like, I totally believe in recharging the batteries and mentally getting back at it. And athletes kind of know when they need to get going, but at the same time, it's like, take your time and then get back to work. Like, if you want to, if you enjoy it, but you got to have this desire, you got to have this, you know, inspiration of what you ultimately want to create. You know, it's just, you know, triathlon and training and coaching is so much like art. You know, I think I've used this analogy too at Louisville. It's like, you know, as a coach, you close your eyes and you paint this picture, and you never get to see it. And then when they cross the finish line, it's like unveiled and you get to see it, and then it vanishes and you start over again. While they get to see it like painted the entire time.
Wow,
and
yeah.
so, you know, so what you were saying kind of made me think about that, because you're like, you know, and I sit down, I want to do this and this, or, you know, it's like I feel like I have to know everything before I go, or before I start.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, and I used to have all these people who would come into our gym when I worked for Iron Tribe. It's like, yeah, but I feel like I need to be in shape before I start.
Yes, that's the whole.
You know, it's like, no. Like, that's why you haven't been coming, and you're just going to stay where you are, because you're going to convince yourself you're never in the place to where you can handle this. You're never in the place where you can handle that. You know, and a lot of times it's a mental block, you know, and we sometimes, you know, listen, life gives us enough obstacles, but we add so many other ones to our plate that we just sometimes make up. Like, who said that you can't handle more volume? Who said that you can't, you know, work out every day or run more? Like, is it you telling you that, or is it your body telling you that? Because those usually have two totally different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of times it's very, very hard to change someone's, you know, mentality. I literally, right before we got on this podcast, I got a text from an athlete, and she said, is it normal to feel this decent still 3+ weeks into steady mode? Basically, she's missed like one workout in the last 4 weeks. She said, clearly, I have always underestimated myself and not pushed my potential, because this new way is going very well now that I've broken through that hard moment and just gotten consistent finally. And that's the hardest thing. It's, okay, well, I'd rather you do a few little things 7 days a week than, you know, small ball.
That's what I was meant with your post.
Be the Cubs. Be the Royals. Be small ball. Play all the time. Have fun. Do something. And those consistently lead to great, great gains. Instead of always thinking, well, I can't even take a swing until I do this. or I don't have the right gear, so I shouldn't even get up to the plate to even try to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I probably can't even make it to first, so I'll just wait. Then we convince ourselves to wait and wait and wait, and we can and we shouldn't, and it's like, well, why the hell not? Or how about this? How about we just find out? And it's like, we see, the way that we think is so different depending on the conversation, the person. It's like sometimes you think with your mind, sometimes you think with your heart, your emotions, and like how those kind of interchange and cross. And when it comes to something like this, it's always our head either feeling uncertain or our emotions like unmotivated, or I'm just not attached to this, or I'm just like grasping for straws, or now I'm going to do this and now I'm going to do that, and it's just get off your ass and go do something, and then figure it out.
Right.
And that's the great part of this year is like you don't have to have that much of a quote unquote plan to just go out and do stuff, and be active and do things that are fulfilling and enjoy it and love it. Like, you're not a guy that likes to, work a structured plan, but that doesn't mean you can't have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where athletes this time of year, and then with personal type say, I don't work well with the plan. I feel too pressured, or I feel too like I can't listen to my body, and I've got to do this, and I'm too penciled in, and that's okay. But at least have a plan, because having no plan more oftentimes leads to nowhere or nothing than it does something or somewhere.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. I mean, I think my plan basically is just to keep moving right now, and get back in shape, because it's that huff. I was at a group conversation the other day, and there was a girl in there. She was talking about how holidays really bum her out, and how going home to see her mom was always so stressful because her mom would criticize her on, how she looked and what she's been doing and all this sort of stuff like that. So she said she has to prepare, and like she can't even go see her mom until she's prepared to go see her mom, which was just like really like this weird dichotomy. So it's like it's just like she can't take it as it comes sort of thing. And back to that, what you were saying about that athlete, about is this normal or whatever. And it's like, I think, there's so many times when things really seem hard, and then we always talk about how, like, when it gets the toughest, that's about when a breakthrough's coming. So the people that crash through that barrier are the ones that are going to see the gains. But if most people just sort of look at that and feel frustrated and walk away or stop or like regress or something like that. So that can be, I don't know. It's like you gotta keep moving towards something, or it's going to eat you up in a way.
And I mean, and sometimes, and I think the athletes that have the most lasting success aren't really ever in the pursuit of a race or the pursuit of something material. They're in the daily pursuit of finding out how good they can be.
Yeah, that's an interesting one there.
And it's like how, and you can't make somebody do this, because we're all different, and we're all motivated, like you said, inspired by something totally different, and sometimes it leads just being inspired. Because I don't think it all the time has to lead to action to be inspired. I think it can inspire you in a way that, like, for me, like anytime I ever go to a meeting, I always leave inspired.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't move me to go do anything except for just continuing to do what I know I should do in order to make sure I come back.
But that's an interesting point, though, because like when you go there, sometimes you're maybe not inspired, or you're.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So you come out of there.
Go to one, exactly. You literally, unless you don't want to be there, you're forced to be there, or like you go, and even if you're not, like, I've never left one and not felt just like awesome. and inspired. And maybe not inspired is the word, but maybe it's just like connected to what I feel is like, or maybe it's like reconnecting with myself or what I want to do or what I want to achieve, or it's affirmation that I'm doing things right, or it's, grateful that I'm not in the position of somebody else, or that I used to be in, and it's just so many of those things. But I think it can lead you to a positive thought process that can ultimately lead to action. But you're the person that kind of gets to decide what that action actually is. And, I think that's the biggest difference in the kind of mode that I'm in right now, is that I just want to see how good I can be, and how consistent I can be. And I just got out of the pool. I did one of my hardest sets I've done, and I don't even know when. And I wanted to just stop after 16 instead of 20, because I was like, God, I could easily just cut this short. Nobody's watching. I don't have anybody to hold me accountable. It'd still be a good set, but I was like, that's not what getting better sounds like. That's what settling sounds like.
Yeah, I mean.
And so I finished, and I was just like, I just tired of settling, because it's funny, we can have so many things in our life that are going great, and if one little thing comes up, we're like, Jesus, here we go again. I can never catch a break. And you're like, wait a minute. Isn't the rest of my life pretty awesome? Yep. Wasn't the rest of my day pretty great? Yep. Okay, moving on. But we let these little things, these obstacles, or these minor inconveniences totally trump all the other great things, or all the other momentum. Or I've been consistent for 3 weeks, and oh my God, I missed a workout. It's yes, being disappointed, definitely okay, and I like the fact that you're disappointed and missing a workout, but it doesn't erase or negate everything you just did. It's like building a house, and then you get one crappy piece of lumber and you nail into it, and you're like, the house is ruined. I got to start over again. Yeah. And I used to be that way to a T. I mean, even when I was a kid, when I was younger, I wanted to be an architect so bad I could taste it. I would spend hours and hours and hours in my room.
No wonder you like George Costanza.
Instead of doing my homework, I would design houses and floor plans, and I was really, really, really good at it. But for you kids out there, back in my day, we had to use a stencil and a pencil. We didn't have these fancy computer programs, but I would spend 2-3 hours, and if something happened, then I got a smear or a smudge with my eraser, it was over.
Wow.
I totally started over again. I got accepted to Auburn pre-architecture program. Decided not to go last minute, but anyway, that's a story for another day. But that was it. It's that eraser smudge moment. Is that really going to ruin it all? And that day to day, like walking onto the pool deck, and the perfect example today. I walked on the pool deck, and honestly, man, I was not feeling it. Just not. Walked on the pool deck, all the lanes are full, and I'm like,
there it is.
There it is. And dude, the minute I put my bag down, this old dude looked up at me and said, "Hey man, it's all yours." I was like, damn it.
Divine intervention, dude.
Exactly, divine intervention. It's like, you gotta get in. But it's like, or for whatever reason, triathletes, a leaky goggles or a flat tire during a traffic jam. I've had more athletes quit a swim after leaky goggles that they can't fix than probably any other reason ever.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
For sure, I've done it. But it's like, we
Mark
don't
Spitz
always
didn't.
Mark Spitz is capless, goggleless, speedoless probably sometimes. But it's just moving forward, and and not needing any other reason but that you don't like to sit still or stay still or be, it's that feeling to me of like just being stale and okay, and it's a tough place to be. I mean, I think you've honestly, ever since I've known you, I think you've gone through these like ebbs and flows of not really finding an in between, like doing a little bit and hanging out and staying moving and staying active, or wanting to go big.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, and listen, this is the total honest to goodness truth. For those of you that are listening who have followed the blog for any substantial amount of time, is when I started working with Mike, he was a member of the group called the Fab Five, and he was obviously the most rookie of all of them, the oldest, the least experienced, and we were out one night at Three Crow, which is one of my favorite hangouts at the time. And people asked me, we're taking over Vegas odds for the Fab Five. Who was gonna be the fastest? We had guys in there that had done 2 or 3 Ironman, and here's Mike, who hadn't done even a 70.3 at that time. And I said, Mike will be the fastest.
You did?
And, yeah, and I was right, obviously, but still, it was. You have incredible athletic ability and natural athletic ability, kind of like I have in swimming. I just can do it. And I think you've always been stuck in the middle of, I can do really good with my ability and not stretch it. But then your mind says, no, not your mind. Your mind says, but I can kind of get by, and your heart says, but I know what I'm probably actually capable of. I'm just not sure what the best route is to get there.
Yeah, it's that, and I just, for whatever reason, have never been able to be consistent in my approach, mindset or something, because it just gets derailed, and I don't know if it's because of all the different interests I seem to gravitate towards, or what that may be, but I know what it takes, and in my heart I'm like, man, I'm kind of like, I sort of want to be in the place that you're in, where you just want to see how good you can get, and I've been there for short periods, and what you just talked about is like, while I'll probably write my autobiography, it'll be called On the Fence. I mean, it's like, we're just dive in, man. And sometimes I do dive in, and it shows, and then it's like, I mean, that's a little bit bored. I'm bored with that. That's kind of that. I guess that's that addictive mentality in some regards. When you get bored with stuff like that, you need that new, like we talk about, shiny new object, or that new challenge, or whatever it may be, and then the new challenge becomes the old challenge becomes the new challenge. It's sort of in and out like that. So I don't know. It's just a matter of. That's why I don't know. That's why I guess when I talk about just trying to get out there every day, and so it's like when I get up and I plan on running in the morning and I don't, then why can't I just run in the afternoon and not feel okay with that? It's like, what's going on there?
Yeah,
it's like, man, I should have done this in the morning. Man, it's like self-deprecating, beat myself up for something,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, man. It was like, 6 hours ago. What's the difference?
Yep. And it's it's like that. You always take things. You don't always have to take everything. It's like, as you were saying that, I was like, you can stay on a journey and have like a pit stop that doesn't last very long. But you have a pit stop and then take what you've learned or take what you like and then just keep going. But a lot of times, like if you think about a ship trying to get to its destination, and it needs things along the way. If it stops at every island and docks itself, and everybody unloads and lives there for a couple of months, and then gets back on, gets distracted and stays there, and then gets back on, like, oh shit, I forgot heading this way, and then it gets another island and gets off and habitates there again. It's like you're never going to get to your destination. But what's so wrong with like pulling into the port, looking around. Yeah, I can take this, or this is useful, and then just getting back and getting going on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you finally get to your destination, it's not because listen, like we all learn things along the way. I learn things as a coach every single day that always changes my perception or my view of an athlete or an approach or a philosophy, and it's just always changing if you allow it to be. It's just you can't be all in, or you can't be all the way out. I mean, you can, but it's okay to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to keep moving forward and take the pieces that I know or that I can do and just keep moving forward and then be better when I get there versus, all right, I'm going to stay here and I'm making good progress, but ooh, look at that. I'm all in. And then, go from there. It's like, I can always tell with, the more distracted, it's just like it's not that you're focused. It's not that you're not focused when people do this. It's just that you're so focused on the outcome and not what it takes to get to the outcome. Because you can find short little avenues and answers to outcomes. Whether it's, God, I want to race so bad, I'm going to sign for a 5K tomorrow even though I shouldn't.
Right.
When the ultimate outcome is, 8 months away. And so are you sacrificing long-term success for short-term gain or short-term distraction or short-term, whatever, impulsive, filling a void, whatever it is, but so we do that so often and I don't want to call them mistakes, but, these like permanent diversions almost. And then we get, oh yeah, but I forgot. I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to do that. And it's like, well, what if you had just put all your focus on going to this one place that you really want to go? But in that same breath, like you have to know where you want to go first, or you're just still figuring out, which is still a more than okay place to be.
Yeah, man, I feel okay with it. I'm just always, I think it's just like I overthink things a little bit too much. Like I've always been fascinated by the Stephen Pressfield concept of resistance, which is kind of commonplace out there right now. People talking about it all the time. It's sort of mainstreamed. Yeah, but resistance is everything from, your goggles are leaking to quitting to, so everything that sort of like, like in my case, resistance would be coming home inspired and then pulling out 8 books and then being, instead of just sort of doing something, it's like this delay factor. How can I kind of, just wallow in this inspiration a little bit more rather than get into the action of it? So, which is fine. I do harshly judge myself on that kind of stuff a lot, I think. And then that becomes, the judgment becomes the inaction. And then it's like, just get out the door, man. Just get out the door. Just do something. That's why, it is
paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. And I've the one thing is sort of the seasonal thing where it's funny just how it just happens. I don't even think about it, but like when basketball season starts, college basketball, I pull my trainer up and I put it in the living room. It's the next thing I know, I'm watching these games and riding, and everything seems to come back into play. So. It kind of works itself out.
And push-ups. Don't forget push-ups.
Yeah, push-ups. Yeah. If I'm watching basketball, I always do push-ups in between. Because I am really, really thinking about my Ironman results and how I think it's just a lot of my dissatisfaction comes down to lack of strength. And I think the push-up thing has been a good thing for me. I think it's an underrated maybe element of it. Because of possibly the swim and then that fatigue of arms on bike that you've talked about. And I don't necessarily feel that as much as I feel it in my legs. And I think that just general, like the Ironman marathon is really so much about strength. It's not. I never feel out of breath. It's not like that. It's just that my legs aren't strong enough to maintain.
Right.
And that's where I'm thinking right now.
Then you have a direction.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, you know,
everything's good over here, actually.
Yeah, we just spent 40 minutes pretending like it wasn't.
Right? Yeah. No, it's just you wallow in those things, man.
Wallow in the same vein, it's, you know, if you like, you know what your weakness is, then, or not so many weaknesses, but you have a direction and it's your direction.
Mm-hmm.
But with how accessible and how just like overwhelming everyone else's direction is today, that's where a lot of the distraction is.
Yeah.
Well, so and so is doing a swim focus, so and so is doing a bike focus, so and so is doing trainer roads, so and so is doing Z stuff. Are you using power with your running? Oh, they're on a run focus. They're doing half marathons this year. Maybe I should do half marathon. It's like, holy shit, what do you need to do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so we question everything and every motive that we do, not based on looking within, but what we absorb from the outside. You know, and I've known you, like I said, for 5 years, and I 100% know you're telling the truth, because Wisconsin basketball season is the most consistent you are with strength training and on the bike than you are the whole entire year.
Yeah.
You know it's true.
I know.
Push-ups on the trainer. Like, so, you know, if you just say, yeah, I lack strength and I need to build things up, and it's like, okay, so that's your thing. You know, so if that's what you truly feel deep down and you have a good grasp on, then who says you're not on the right track or on the right plan? You know, but again, it's just that that sponge-like effect where, you know, you wake up every day and you are around other triathletes, and I think sometimes it is hard. Like, I think just in the being a coach, it is too sometimes, to be objective, and, you know, being around so many just so many awesome and amazing athletes that they all have different strengths and weaknesses, even within each sport. They're all within different phases of their life. They always have different demands. It's like, but you wake up every day as a brand new sponge, and you just take in all this stuff from everywhere, and you just consume everything from podcasts to social media to books to your own training and your own thoughts and your own processes. But at the end of the day, what you want to wring out is just the stuff for you.
Yeah.
Leave the other shit in the sponge and just throw it away and start over again.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
You know, yeah, but that's the hardest part. You know, it's like, because I think this goes with everybody in multiple aspects of life, is that a lot of times we spend more time and energy questioning either other people or ourselves than we do putting our own self and belief into action. Because we just see and consume and everybody else's thing, and, well, they're doing this race, maybe I should do this race. Like, what do you need to do? What do you want to do? And then just move forward. You know, tune everybody else out, or try not because you can't, but it's, you know what I mean. Like, filter it. You know,
yeah, exactly. You can't
be steadfast and concrete it in. This is me, and this is what I need to do.
Yeah, that's like so hard, man.
It's the hardest. It is the hardest thing to do. It is, but I will tell you, and you know this because you've been really consistent before. It's like, when I start working with athletes and they, you know, going back to the day off thing, or going back to the run slow to get fast thing, and they're like, God, it's like, I hate it. It's annoying, or why can't I run faster? And then weeks and weeks and weeks go by, and they're like, oh shit. Because you see everybody else doing these fancy workouts and these home runs. You know, we talked about like the baseball analogy again. We're playing small ball. We're here to win. We're here to play small ball. We're here to play for a long time. We're not here to swing for the fences or strike out every day. But, you know, triathletes dig the long ball, and people in general, you know, love the long ball.
Oh.
You know, the big splash, the salacious headlines. You know, it's like, that's the world we live in, and filtering out the noise or limiting the noise, you know, or, you know, just safeguarding yourself to a more reality. It's like, and you know what else leads to? It's just, instead of questioning yourself and questioning other people, it's just like, you will find more fulfillment on a path and a journey of your own choosing regardless of what happens along the way, if you just believe in yourself and believe you can reach that outcome, and then as hard as it is sometimes, just not give a shit about other people.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing in the world to do in every aspect of life, I think.
Well, that's the biggest thing going on in life today, I think, is people worried about what other people think. Just because it's so proliferated and, it's so public now with, everybody has comments and, and it's like to put yourself out there in a way is difficult sometimes. Because it's just, but I was listening to something the other day and these guys were talking about, so it's like, the one of the guys was like, I don't really pay attention to, there's so many opinions now and so many like short flippant headline talkers and whatever. And he said he doesn't pay any attention to anything unless they publish. So it's like there's all this like chatter and busyness going on in the world, but until somebody actually feels confident enough about what they've said or what they believe in to actually hit that button that says publish in a formal way, that's kind of his filter. And then they were also talking about like the critiques that people get for, whatever they do publish or whatever. And they were talking about some, I think it might have been a rap artist named Logic, actually. He said he struggled with that, every time he put out a new record. And then finally it dawned on him that when people, like, because he would go out and read comments or whatever. And he kind of got in that thing. And then it finally dawned on him that he said, he realized that if somebody didn't like something that he made, some of his art or his music, then he decided it wasn't for them. Hey, I didn't make it for you. And then it took everything away. Like all this work, so it's like he made it for people who would appreciate it or enjoy it or whatever. So I thought that's a good, and that's...
So he was using logic.
Right, exactly. That is logic. It's just, I just think it's one of the hardest things. I think it's really one of the biggest things now is that people worry about what other people think, And,
and that they're missing out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what you said about the publishing thing, like that's, when I ever hear of a new, or a new training this or a new secret or a new hack, I'm like, A, does any other coach that I really respect give it any credence, A? Or B, can I find it published in any type of journal that I respect? 99,000 times out of 100,000, that's no. Because it's once you publish it, it's like, oh God, like it's I totally stand behind this. I'm just not, and all of it's ego. It's ego to criticize, and it's our ego that usually gets our feelings hurt when somebody does criticize it. Like one of the greatest analogies of our time, that I've ever heard about our time was in a meeting one time, and this guy said, the world right now is the person on the dance floor. And 1 minute they're dancing and they're looking around and saying, "Why isn't anybody looking at me? Why isn't anybody looking at me?"
Oh, that's interesting.
and then when everybody looks at them, they think, "Why are you guys staring at me?
Yeah.
Why are you guys staring at me?" It's like we're all about me, and then we're just so sensitive to everything else, and it's hard to filter. It's hard not to think personally, and I think about it sometimes, like the openness and honesty I've had on this podcast about where I've come from and the things I've struggled with, and I'm sure I've somebody has thought different, or or the direction of our podcast, the way it's gone. It's like, if it's for you, it's for you, and I get more fulfillment knowing that we talk about the things we talk about and do it in a way that's true to ourselves and what we want to say, and maybe I don't know, who knows. And that's the thing, we'll never know. It maybe have less listeners, but are people who really get something out of it, than really try to change who we are to reach others, or to reach, just have more listens or downloads.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the more enriching parts for me, and in doing this, is that it's, 2 hours of the week where you can almost be as authentic as you possibly can in any other aspect of your life, and you can either take it or not. And if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, then it's not. And we all have our own reality, and that says more about somebody else's than ours, and vice versa. It says more about mine than yours. And so, I think it's acceptance, and then it's being able to tune out. It's not, but you can't. That's the thing. Like I keep saying, tune out, but you can't tune it out. It's just like accepting that. Okay, I see that it's not for me. I'm moving on. Back to the island analogy. I look over, got my binoculars out. Yeah, that island's not for me. Moving on, instead of just having to stop and having to take a lesson or having to do this. And but it is. There's so much noise. And there's so much chaos, ultimately just and that's been something that Allie and I have struggled with parenting. It's like there is so much information out there. It is insane. And it's really hard sometimes, I think, as a new parent, is to not beat yourself up that you're doing things wrong or someone's doing this, or maybe we should change it up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's doing this. And to me, I'm just I have to slow her down. I'm like, listen, we have a loving, kind, healthy child, and he knows that we love him. What else? He's 16 months old. What else can he possibly need? Or do you really think? I think is it harder than hell? Absolutely. But it's like I wouldn't trade it, nor would I change anything that we do. Because there's a million different styles to parent, but you're always going to have just your own way. And that's the thing, is like when you strip it all down and you strip everything down to just the stuff that matters the most, like what really stands up the test of time. What really matters to you. For us, it was not moving our child from a daycare just to be closer to home. Or moving them to a daycare where they use iPads and technology and everything is, organically made in a kitchen and you can watch them on a security camera. And so this century and it was, we're going to leave him where he is. I'll drive like an hour and a half at least, round trip every day to get him. But he gets to play outside. One of his first words by his mom and dad is outside. Which is like a huge win for me as a parent, and not like phone or TV or whatever, because he loves to play outside. He loves to be outside. But it's just like stripping like all the criticism and negativity that we allow in our lives to then dictate our action, because then we're just reacting, because that's not really even ours.
Right.
It's just like we're no longer parenting our way. We're parenting because of your way, and while we're all going to always take things from other people in every aspect of life, it's just like, I'm just going to take what I learned and move on, or just like, who said I can't just figure it out on my own? That's one of the greatest things about parenting, I think, is you just kind of, there is no book, the 4 little classes I went to that spent like 12 hours total, like I didn't learn shit.
Right.
It pops out and you're like, oh God. It's like you just kind of learn as you go, and it can't be so harnessed because so and so's doing this. And like, listen, like I said, our kid is healthy and happy, and we love him, and he knows that. And hey, as of right now, that's all that matters.
Right.
But yeah, it's that stripping it down to bare bones about what matters most.
Yeah, it's like imperfection becomes the perfection. What do you think of that one? I mean,
like that.
Perfection is like it's A, relative, and B, unattainable unless it's just accepted. I don't know.
Well, that's an argument I've had before with somebody, is they said, I'm just a perfectionist. I'm like, no, you're not. I hate that word.
Yeah.
If you're a perfectionist, you don't feel like you've ever really perfected anything.
Yeah,
you're just obsessed. You're just obsessed with being imperfect.
We don't want that, man.
Oh. We do not want that.
Well, speaking of daycare, I know you got to go.
Yeah, I got to head out here in a minute. But you know what? I do want to say real quick though that that is the hardest part. Is is being comfortable in our own imperfections, not making more of them, and not looking outward and trying to, and like actually believing that other people have all these perfections.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man.
I know. We gotta go, though.
But it's so true. The oldest adage on this whole thing is that you wouldn't worry about what other people thought if you knew how little they thought about you. You know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's like the oldest truth. And like you said, the winner. That's the winner.
Yeah, every time. Like, yeah, it is.
So anyway, we've got, we're trying to build our email list. If you go to crushingiron.com, there's a nice little sleek slide-in box. It's not obtrusive.
No, it's not.
It's just sitting down there. You can sign up for our email list, and we want to start. We're going to start a probably twice a month newsletter that kind of keeps you up to speed on everything we're working on and what's available and all that kind of stuff. And we think it's going to be awesome, but we can't quite confirm that yet. But
yeah,
we won't bomb you with emails.
It'll be imperfect, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it'll be imperfect until it isn't.
Exactly. Love it.
So that's that. A lot of people coming into the closed Facebook group. You search Crushing Iron Group on Facebook, and we'll let you in there.
Mm-hmm. And congrats to Brandy Keene, who won our Normatec boot giveaway.
Oh, that happened today, huh? That was for all the camp participants?
Yeah, everybody signed up for camp, and I got to say, it could not have happened to a better individual. She is learning how to swim, and so she's coming to swim camp.
Awesome.
Yeah, and is kind of terrified of the water, and so she's coming to swim camp. And so for her, other thing was kind of neat that for her leap of faith and courage, has already been rewarded. So, got some availability still for camp. If you're interested in April camp, June camp, or August triathlon camps, and then we also have April and May swim camps. If you're interested in getting in on those, let me know. Their camps are going to be awesome, super fun. So many awesome people. It's a jam-packed schedule. In great venues here in Nashville. You can go on to crushingiron.com under the camps tab and check that out. We're going to have, like I said, great places to train, great camaraderie and athletes there. We'll have wetsuits from Roka, Normatec recovery boot, rental fleets there for everybody. It's going to be an awesome time. So, and hey, if you're ever looking for a good excuse to come to Nashville and not just be lazy and drink beer on Broadway, come on down and see us.
Yeah, exactly. An alternative vacation.
Yep, that's what it is.
That, involves a lot of other good stuff besides the murkiness
Honky
tonks.
Yeah, Jesus.
Which we used to love for a while.
Oh, yeah. Well, back in my day.
But now that we're all grown up and perfect.
That's right.
You're right.
Perfectly imperfect, man. You and I.
All right, brother.
All right, dude.
Crushingiron.com. Check it out. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. And let us know if you need anything, and I'll shoot you a text later. We'll set up a time to meet tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
All right, cool, dude. See you.
Later.